Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Johngy URLs podcast, without which life would be incomplete and have little or no meaning. I, of course, am who else but Tommy else. With me, as always, coming to us from Skokie, Illinois, the man on the beat from JohnG'sBeat.com, Mr. Jonathan Stanley Robleski. How you doing, buddy?
I didn't think you'd go with Stanley. I decided that I'm going to try to start guessing you. I went with Belvedere.
Belvedere is a good one.
I just thought Stanley was too obvious.
But see, the thing is, all right, okay. Well, okay, here's the thing. Now, when we had Zach and Brad on for Golden Con, I had used the name Salvador, and you were like, "Oh, you dropped the ball there, man. You should have called me Stan. You should have called me Stan." And I explained to you that Salvador was Sophia Petrillo's late husband. So now I finally give you the Stanley.
I just thought you wouldn't do it.
And then I get this.
I just thought you wouldn't do it. I thought you wouldn't hand it to me. So I went a little off.
All right.
It's my first guess. You've been trying to guess my middle name for 57 episodes and you haven't gotten it. So it's my first.
Belvedere's a good one, though. I like that.
But our future guest coming up did not sing that theme song, but she sang the Golden Girls theme song.
Well, if you're just going to jump right into it, then let's get to it. Yeah.
Why not, man? Why waste time with our gibberish when we got a cool guest?
That's right, folks. Our guest today is you may know her as the voice from the iconic Golden Girls theme song, "Thank You for Being a Friend," originally written by Andrew Gold. And
sung by Andrew Gold.
Check it out, by the way, if you've never actually heard the original. But the one that put the shine on it and made it iconic, Miss Cindy Fee. I know I keep calling her Miss. She is married, but I think that's appropriate, right?
Yeah, I don't think she'd be offended.
Anything wrong with that? She has done much more than simply the Golden Girls theme song, and we're going to talk about that. And she is she's a talent with a very broad scope, a very fun and delightful person, and it was an honor for us. I mean, in all seriousness, to get
absolutely
sit down and get some private one-on-one time to talk with her and find out about, just her as a person, where she comes from, and how she feels about all of her notoriety for this and other things that she's done. So without further ado, please welcome to the show, Cindy Fee. The lovely Miss Cindy Fee.
Hi there. How are y'all?
Good, Cindy. Welcome to the show. Glad to talk.
Thank you.
So first of all, we know that you will be part of Golden Con 2023 coming up this year.
I will. I did it last year, and it was truly an amazing experience. Just, I don't know if I've ever spent that much time among people that there was just nothing but love. It was pretty amazing. It was pretty wild. In fact, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. Well, you get to go back this year. Yeah, we will be there. It'll be our first time, but yeah, we had Zach and Brad on the show and talked to them, and everything they told us about it sounds like it's a really awesome event, and we're looking forward to going. I am, of the two of us, the Golden Girls guy. So
I like the show. I like the show. I love the
That's
show.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just not on Tommy's level of liking the show.
Yeah. I'm the one with the action figures and coloring books and
t-shirts
and all that. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you get involved in it? Did one of your parents or grandparents?
And it's funny because that's one of the things that we had talked about. Was one of the common threads I find amongst the fans is that a lot of them share that show with somebody, and yeah, I'm one of them. My grandmother and I Saturday nights would sit and we'd watch that, and then when Empty Nest came around, we watched that as well and everything. And so every time I watch the show, I mean, she's passed since, and but every time I watch that show, I mean, I feel like she's sitting right next to me, because every time I ever watched the show, she was, so, and it's a great show, too, so I saw it as a kid, but as you get older and you start getting more of the jokes, you realize how incredibly great it really, really, truly is. So
Yeah, it really was an amazing show. I mean, it was the first show to take on homelessness. It was
Yep.
for a show that was a comedy. It had a lot of serious moments.
They dealt with that. They dealt with homosexuality. They dealt with blindness. I remember Rose's sister ended up going blind at one point, and they had to deal with that. I mean, all sorts of stuff. I know that the homeless episode, you got to sing a song for that one, right?
Actually, even though everybody thinks it was me, that was not me that sang
Oh,
the
really?
song.
Ooh.
No, I did sing it at the convention last year, because last year, when I kind of thought I better make everything about Golden Girls, something to do with gold. I added a few of my original tunes, but I mostly did stuff that had something to do with Golden Girls. But um, all the feedback, although it was wonderful, it was one of the best audiences I've ever had in my life. I mean, I could have really sung the ABCs, and they wouldn't have cared,
Yeah,
but
that's
they were
awesome.
wonderful. And so this year, I'm going to expand out a little bit more and do a little bit more of my stuff
Good.
and the kind of
Good.
stuff that I do when I'm actually performing. So, because contrary to popular opinion, I'm not singing the Golden Girls usually in my shows.
Right.
So.
Yeah. You don't wake up in the morning and just start singing this song. Yeah, I know. It's
Well, no, not really. I mean, I've certainly sung it enough in my life.
Does that ever get frustrating? I mean, because I know that you have a much bigger catalog beyond one song, and you've done some. I've looked at what you've done in the past and stuff. I mean, you've appeared on a Kenny Rogers album and stuff. I know that you play in a band, but I mean, does it get frustrating that you get known so much for that one, albeit iconic, thing? I mean, your voice has been heard by pretty much everybody, at some
No, it's
point.
it's really not frustrating to me at all, because it is something that's a commonality. I mean, with all of these people, almost it's very, very rare that somebody hasn't heard of or watched the Golden Girls. So no, for
Right.
me, it's kind of I was very lucky to be able to sing the song on, because that when I did it, I had no idea that it was going to
No,
become
right,
what
of
it was.
course.
It was just a session for me, and then all of a sudden, after the first season, I kind of went, well, I think this show has some legs,
Yeah.
and who would know what kind of legs it really truly has,
Right.
to this day it's everywhere. So
How did you
I said,
get
no, not really. I mean, it's for me, it was kind of, not only do people that I don't know love it, but for me, it's a way for the people that I do know and love to kind of like they go, oh, I can tune in and hear you every day if I
Sure.
want to. So that's a nice thing as well. So
That's cool.
How did you get it? How did you land the song?
I was a very successful session singer in Los Angeles. I sang a lot of commercials, for many years, a lot of very top commercials. And I think that year it was one of 5 different TV themes that I sang.
Yeah.
You get called by the writer of the song, and they call you in. It's not like being an actor where you're auditioning for something. You just get called in and you sing it, And
Right.
so it was literally a session. I walked in there, and I don't think I'd ever worked for the writer before. So I didn't know him very well. And just, he played me the song. I looked at the music. I sang it, probably took about a half hour, and then that was it.
Well, that's pretty impressive. I mean,
Wow.
to have never really, because you never heard the song before that going in there.
No, I never heard it.
So
but that's what session singers do.
Yeah.
And I was very successful as a session singer because I sounded like, what I really am, which is more of a pop singer,
Right.
as opposed to, somebody, I'm sorry, my dog is barking at the door. My husband should be right behind him, but I'm going,
Oh,
what's
I don't
going
hear
on?
it.
So if you hear a bark in the background, that's what's going on.
Okay, it's fine.
So, for me, I was very lucky to be very successful doing that. But no, the Golden Girls is what an iconic show and how wonderful to be part of it. I mean, one
Mhm.
of the things that's very interesting is I am now the age that they
But the
were
Golden Girls were, yeah.
Wow.
when they
Yeah.
recorded it all, because I was
Yeah.
pretty young. I had just moved to Los Angeles when it happened. So,
Wow.
yeah. So,
If I could ask, let's walk it back a little bit because I'm curious to know, just like in general, how you got into music in the first place. Like, how old were you when you started feeling, drawn towards music and wanting to perform, and or that you had a voice or anything? I mean,
apparently, I laid in my crib and sang as a
yeah.
baby. So I always sang. Music was just kind of, for me, there's always a million melodies in my head. That's
Mhm.
just kind of how I roll. And I think by the time I was 3, I was entertaining my parents' friends. Really
Yeah.
appropriate, age appropriate songs like you know, what is it? What is Hank Williams and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
things your parents listen to, and so I would sing those tunes. But
Yeah.
and I started actually performing probably by junior high. I was actually making money singing, and
Oh, wow.
I went to I got a scholarship to University of Missouri, and I went for like one semester, but I was driving back and forth between Kansas City, where I was raised, and Columbia for 4 nights a week to sing. And I finally just went, I'm just going to sing. So I stayed in Kansas City till I was about 20, singing with a couple of bands that did really, really well, kind of putting my dues in, doing the sort of stuff that is good. The sort of stuff that in today's world singers don't do. In
Yeah.
today's worlds they get records and then they have to figure out how to go sing live. When you're coming from a background where you've sung 6 nights a week forever, I mean,
Yeah.
it really creates a base, something to go from. So for
Well, you,
me, that was a long-winded answer, but for me, I always
no.
sang, and I always knew I was going to sing. Always.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
never ever thought about doing anything else.
No, being on the road and doing that, I mean, you're keeping yourself sharp, because you're just doing it all the time,
Well, plus
It's
you learn the ups and the downs of it. You learn how to use your voice so that you can sing that much. You learn, because it's very different singing live than singing in a studio. It's a
right.
whole different thing. And you learn not everybody loves you.
Yeah.
Which is a really good lesson to learn early
Yep.
on, because I mean that's the reality of it. I mean, everyone loves this song. Does everyone love me? Who knows? But they love the song, that's for sure. So,
Right.
so it was a good lesson, and I think today's young artists struggle a bit because of that. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear about artists that come out, they have a hit record, and then they get vocal nodes and have to have the
Sure.
nodes removed and rest because they just didn't grow up having to learn how to sing through a cold, having to learn how to do all
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's a good perspective. I know when I was a kid, I was as far as singing age inappropriate songs, I've been told that like the first song I knew all the words to was "Hurt So Good" by John Cougar Mellencamp, and I apparently was in the grocery store in the cart going, "Come on, baby, make it hurt so good,"
That's funny.
Well,
But
I'll jump in too then and say that mine was the Italian version of Lazy Mary was the first one I learned.
yeah,
Pretty. How old were you?
Probably like 4, because my grandmother sang it to me all the time in
Oh,
Italian.
that's funny. And mine was when John Henry was a little baby. Here's this little kid singing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Session recording sounds very intense. I mean, it sounds like something that, I mean, how do you, you're, obviously very experienced with it and everything. So, but in the beginning, like, did you find it difficult? Was it, I mean, like, how do you learn how to do that? I mean, I guess you just have to do it on the fly, and you learn through experience. But I
Yeah,
mean,
having a background in music, I mean, I had a wonderful choir teacher in high school growing up and I sang naturally correctly. I did have a vocal coach later on after I got very successful, that I lost a couple years ago. But, um, learning to sing correctly for many people. But for me, I think what it was is that I always knew that maybe I wasn't, I couldn't say I'm the best singer in the world, but in terms of what I do, nobody does it better.
sure, yeah,
Yeah.
And
absolutely,
that's kind of, so I never was intimidated going in, except for maybe the very first big session I ever did, because it was a producer I was working with, Mike Post, and he put me on this big session with all these singers, and I'm sitting there singing, and I kind of hear this big voice coming from the side of me, and I turn around and look, and it's Linda Ronstadt over there, and I'm just
Oh,
a little girl from Kansas City going, "Holy shit, I'm singing in a session with Linda Ronstadt! Oh my God!" But
yeah,
I just kind of, that was part, like I said, that was part of why I got very successful, because I just did what I do and sang the way I sang.
yeah,
I've never been one of those people that could do sound alikes. Like I know a couple of people that they can sound like 5 or 6 different singers. I never did that. I
right.
just kind of, I just kind of sing. It just comes from somewhere deep in me, whether it's a commercial, whether it's a record, whether it's a
It's
TV
your
theme.
voice, though. It's your
Yeah,
voice.
it's
Yeah,
my voice, but to me, the best music comes when it flows through you,
yeah,
like you're plugging into this creative, drive, and you get out of your own way.
yeah.
You just get out of your own way, and you let it flow. You let it just come and see what happens. I certainly had other singers go, "How did you sing that lick?" And I go, it's not like I
I don't
planned
know. I
it.
just did
It
it.
just
Yeah,
it just came out. So,
yeah.
that's part of that. So
I'm just very impressed with the notion of like walk in, here's a song, listen to that, okay, let's record, and then like within a couple hours you've got it, and it's done. I
well,
mean,
you also got to know that when you're dealing at that level with that kind of money that people were, particularly back then, were making, because it was huge bucks back in, all through I mean, I probably started working, I don't know, maybe the early 80s, where I really started doing a lot.
yeah,
And, all the people that are doing it are the best of the best,
right,
because there was so much money to be made from it. So, and I would sing lead, I would sing backgrounds as well,
sure,
on jingles, and then also I sang a lot of records. I sang with a million different artists. But I mean, some of those people, some of the background singers, those people were pulling down almost $1 million a year,
no
singing on
kidding,
wow.
everything. There was a
wow,
very select group of people in each city, in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, that sang on everything. So it
wow,
was very serious bucks. So it was it was a very competitive thing. But because what I was doing was something a little different,
hmm,
because I just was singing, I was called to do what I do. And then I could do background. So they'd put me on the background sessions, but some of it was tough. I mean, you'd be working for there was this one guy, Don Pystrup, who wrote these charts that were like horn charts, because that's what he was. He was a horn player. And
oh,
so, you would have like 4 key changes in 60 seconds. And so you're singing a background part, you've got to be able to read to do
yeah,
that. So,
wow,
right time, right place. But I put myself in that place. I left Kansas City at a very young age,
yeah,
for compared to a lot of people, to do that. Exactly. I think I was going to be singing commercials and have this big career in that? No, of course, everybody thinks they're going to go there and be, the next big whatever artist. So, and I've certainly had my share of record deals and done records and then done my own records. So,
hmm.
it's not a, you know,
I've found we've done more than our share of interviews with people, and one common thread I find amongst people who have landed where in their happy place, it's not often where they thought they were going to end up. um, you know, uh, it may not be contrary to it, but it may just be something that they didn't see coming, or they didn't expect that it was going to work out that way, or however it is. So um, it just seems like as you go through life, I mean, yeah, how do you know that you're going to be doing all these jingles, and that you're going to somehow be, this iconic voice on one of the most iconic television shows ever, you know.
No,
And
no, you have no idea because
there's no
nobody
way,
knows
there's no,
about that. Well,
yeah, there's no,
I first started when I was in Los Angeles. I met a very young Diane Warren, the songwriter,
mhm,
and she was writing so many songs every week. And what they do is she's not a singer, so she would bring me in to sing these songs. And one day I was in there recording with her, and she said, the guy in the next room is a jingle producer, and you can do really well doing jingles. You might give him a tape. And so I had a tape of things I'd sung, and I was really nervous about it, but I ran in there and said, "Hi, I'm Cindy Fee. Here's my tape. Listen to me
mhm.
if you get a chance." And he did, and started using me, and then everyone did. So, I mean,
That's,
did I even know about that? No. Did I have any idea what commercials would pay?
yeah,
No. In fact, back then, it was really the time when, like, writers of pop songs, oh, they didn't want their songs on commercials because that was, oh, you don't want to do that. Now everybody climbs all over each other because there's so much money,
right.
so, but back then it wasn't like that, except for the people that were making their, mega bucks every year, that realized. Plus, it's very exciting. I was doing 2 to 3 sessions daily, and
Yeah,
going
yeah,
of all kinds of stuff, and for me, I've always been a kind of singer that I have my own sound, but I can sing a lot of different styles. I did pop records, I did country records, a couple of country records for RCA, in
mhm.
Nashville. I've done a lot of different things, so it was fun. Plus you're playing with these people that are just freaking
Well,
amazing.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure along the way you've gotten to meet just so many incredible people, from the actual, singers and other artists, but to even, the producers and engineers and stuff like that who, help make all the recording sessions happen and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, because it is a hugely talented group of people. And it's one of the things, like you said, I mean, doesn't it recording engineer start out becoming a recording engineer? Maybe in today's world, but back then they were
Mm,
all musicians
right.
that went, okay, am I going to be the next big guitar player? Maybe not, but I love music. Well, how can I make a living? How can
Right.
I find a way to fit in here?
There's
And that's what.
always, yeah, that's the cool thing. There's always, like, if you love music or you love theater or you love whatever it is, maybe you're not the actor in the play, but you're a set designer or something like that or whatever. There's always
Exactly.
these other things that you can get involved in and still be part of the family and the people who make all that happen. And I think it's that sense of everybody coming together for one purpose and pulling off, something, an event or a performance or whatever it might be, that's very gratifying. And I think just that's where you find your people, and you don't necessarily have to be, the president or the star of the thing or whatever the case, so
No, for sure. Because I mean, generally speaking, how many are there that are at that level that are the
right,
star?
right.
And then there's this whole group of people that surround them, that
But
that
the
are part
people
of
who,
that.
yeah, but the people who do like the other things around it, though, I mean, are absolutely crucial to making it happen. And they're doing it because they're very good at doing it too.
Of course. Of
It's a
course. And
great,
it does take a village, I
yeah,
mean, it's,
absolutely.
yeah, it does. And that's what, so, I mean, I was reading an article about a kid who grew up whose parents were set designers. And he said his parents, when he was a kid, every time they took him to the movies, they would stay to watch every credit
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
because they knew these people.
right, sure,
They understood exactly what you're saying, how important it was to have the rest of us, that none of it would be what it was without every single one of those people, every single
absolutely,
little grip,
yeah,
every, you
hmm,
know, that
yeah.
it
But
all adds to it.
did you ever meet or talk to Andrew Gold, the original singer of?
No, not really. I mean, I talked to him, but I can't say I really know him. I met him. I think I met him once, at a party or something. After that, and I know he was. I've heard since then that he was kind of frustrated that the song became, although he certainly made a lot of money from it as well, and continue. I would imagine continues to do so unless he just sold his, the song
Yeah.
outright. But I think he was kind of frustrated that somebody else was known for it as opposed to him.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Your version is, I mean, he made the charts with it. Obviously, he's had a career too, but your version is the one that everybody more or less knows more than his.
Yeah, for sure. And
Well, there's
and most people that don't really know the industry, they're like, oh, how did you write that song? I'm like, well, I
Mhm.
didn't write that song.
Yeah.
They don't really quite understand how that goes. To me, I'm singing the song, therefore it's mine.
Right.
So,
Yeah. There's a lot of people who don't even know that Andrew Gold that there is like an original version of it. Like as
Yeah.
far as they're concerned, the only one that ever existed was the one on the Golden Girls. So, um, you know, I can understand the frustration on his end, but at the same time, he still wrote a song that got in front of everybody, and everybody knows that song, and you're the one who helped bring that to life and bring that to everybody, and it's something that you should both be proud of. So
well, it certainly is something for me that's been wonderful. I mean, to
yeah.
be part of that whole thing, because, just recently I thought, okay, when the pandemic, I'm going to start watching. I hadn't seen the show in quite a while, and I thought I'm going to start watching some of the shows just to see. And I think I ended up watching the very first pilot, and I
Oh,
probably
yeah.
hadn't seen that since it first had come on TV, on TV, and it just was a really good show.
Oh
The,
yeah. Yeah.
the guy that wrote the book on it, Jim Colucci, when he talks about how they cast that show, it was interesting because they did all the things they would never do today in Hollywood. They cast older women, they cast them against type.
Hmm.
I mean, 4 women in their 60s
Yeah.
are headlining a show that would never happen in today's
Right.
world. And yet it's a demographic that people love across the board. I mean, who doesn't love grandma?
I was wondering, in the course of the run of the series, did you get to ever go to the set or see any of the tapings, or have you
No,
met
I never did.
did you ever get to meet any of the girls or anything?
I met Betty White once because she did a
That's
guest
crazy
spot
to
on
me that in
on
all that
Evergreen.
time. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that wild? When she was doing Evergreen, because I knew someone that was on that show, and so I met her. And that was
Oh,
and she was lovely. It was Betty White. What's not
yeah.
to love? So, but no, I
What
never.
I bet
I
she
do
must.
have an original cast T-shirt that I've got in storage somewhere that I have to pull out.
Yeah.
You know,
I would
uh,
think Betty White would get a kick out of meeting you.
she probably, she was like, oh my God, you sang that song.
Yeah, yeah. I would think
Yeah,
she would. Yeah.
because it was a part of her life too.
Right. I
So.
bet. Yeah. I bet. As excited as you might have been to meet her, I'm sure she was as much to meet you. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
well, I doubt it was quite that much, but
Well, we're excited to meet you. We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be
yeah,
there.
yeah, and you'll have a blast. It's really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's like I said, it was literally, I didn't hear a negative anything from anyone.
Yeah.
Everybody was just so happy to be there and just having a blast. It was literally like it was a love fest,
Right.
it truly was, So
Well, it's like I said, it's great when you find your people, and like while I have, my love for the show, I don't have too many other friends who have that same experience or connection to it that I do. So for me, going to this is going to be with other people, be surrounding myself with other people who, have had that experience in one way or another, it's like who appreciate, that whole thing. So
exactly. And now you'll be part of a new group of people.
right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I met so many people last year that, that I've made, continued talking to them on social media, and just really interesting people, and people that have some serious stories that, that Golden Girls, and in particular, my song helped them through so many times in their lives. And that's
Yeah. That's
no small,
powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a powerful
Oh,
thing. So,
absolutely. Man.
Yeah. Well, Cindy, this has been a supreme honor and pleasure to get to sit and talk with you, and you have been delightful. Thank you very much for coming on. We are
It's
going
been a
to.
blast.
it's really fun, and I'm looking forward to meeting you guys next
Yes,
week.
we will meet. We will meet face to face, and I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. So Golden Con is coming up. It's the 31st. Well, John, is
31st,
31st,
March 31st to April 2nd at the Chicago Sheraton Riverwalk.
Riverwalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and I will do my show Friday night. So
Okay.
I pretty much I kick it off, and then
I will be there.
At various times, I will sing the song. I pop up and sing it at various times throughout that. But my particular show will be Friday night, so I'll look forward to meeting you guys there.
Well,
I will
Tommy
be
will be
there.
there Friday.
I'll be there
there
Friday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh well, you'll just have to hear me sing the regular song then.
Well,
so.
hey, just meeting you is enough for me. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well,
Awesome. Very nice to meet you
I'm
too.
looking forward to hearing you sing some of your own stuff. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, I'll be doing that.
awesome. Well, thank you again, Cindy, very much, and please enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well, honey. Nice meeting you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
take
Cindy.
care.
Okay,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Cindy Fee, everybody, can you believe it?
That was cool.
There she is. Very sweet, very lovely. I can tell she's a bit of a firecracker too. You know.
You know what's funny, when she was talking about she's in the recording studio and she turned around and saw Linda Ronstadt, and it kind of like blew her mind. As she was saying that, I was sitting there going, although we didn't watch it together, you and me 30 years ago watching the show, whoever thought 30 years from then we'd be sitting here talking to the singer of
Right,
Thank You for Being That is so cool. It blew my mind.
No, I'm trust me, I'm my grandmother would definitely get a kick out of it, but no, very, very cool. You can tell that she's very passionate about what she does. Very talented, and I mean, seriously, to be able to like I said, just jump into a session like that, like hear a song for the first time, find it, in your voice, and then just do it because time is money. That's something, man.
Well, and to switch, like she said, she does a lot of different types of music, and then to switch from actually singing songs to all of a sudden she's doing jingles,
right,
doing
20,
different styles. Like the versatility that she has, along with the talent, is just amazing.
And I appreciated what she was saying about the singers who are on the road, and they have to deal with learning how to get longevity out of their voice, how to sing when they're sick, things like that, because if you've got a gig, you've got a gig. You're not in a position to turn it down and say we're not playing tonight. So
and I love how she embraces the Golden Girls song because it's iconic and she's obviously hooked into that, but she embraces that, but she also embraces the fact that she's had a great career outside of that. Even if she never did the Golden Girls, she still has had a great career.
Right.
It's like the two parts, and she embraces it both, and that's really cool to see. And she seems to be in a very good place in life. And I mean, how much more positive energy could she have? If it made me even more excited to meet her.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that she'll be doing her songs on Friday too, because that's what it's I want to hear what comes from her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you're doing the other, sessions where you're, being told, here's a song, this is what you have to sing, this is what
and sing it this way, and you can't put yourself in it
or whatever. But to hear songs that come from her, that's
that's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be cool. I want to hear her. So, well, man, I don't know that we can offer much more of this episode than that. I mean, she was awesome, and what a special guest to have on. So,
other than just to say again, it's Golden Con. Thank you for being a friend. It's March 31st through April 2nd at Sheridan Chicago Grand Riverwalk. And I believe it's 301 East North Water Street, beautiful part of downtown Chicago. Tommy will be there. I'll be there. We encourage everyone else to be there when you get to meet Cindy Fee.
Yeah. And you could meet
us.
And
many others.
You can meet us.
And you can meet us. We'll look for the shirt.
Yeah. Well, assuming John wears it.
I'll be wearing it.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, this is a Johngy's Beat or Johngy or else podcast.
It's already off to a bad start.
Hey, I've got a lot of platforms.
This guy doesn't even know where. This guy doesn't know where he is. This guy doesn't know where he is. All right. Well, John, if people wanted to follow your coverage of Golden Con, be it either live postings or an article that I'm sure will follow, where on the internet, where through social media could they find John Robleski?
It's very simple. You can look up John or Bless You, but there's going to be a lot of those. Look up Johngy's Beat. There's only one Johngy's Beat. Look that up. You'll find it on all the social media sites. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on my site. You'll find it on where I write, the various websites. And more importantly, as per this, you'll find it on the Johngy or Else podcast, available on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah.
And our Facebook group.
Yeah.
And look for the shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. But Tommy, per se, if somebody,
that's like the first time you've ever like plugged the shirts. I always have to plug the shirts.
I wanted to change it up.
I'm glad you should plug the shirts.
If per se people have gotten their fill of Johngy, which is hard to believe anybody would, but if they did get their fill and they wanted something different, they wanted something else.
They had finished vomiting it back.
Where could they find something else?
They could find something else. They can find me on the gram. I'm gonna condense this here, okay? They can find me on the gram. They can find me on the twit at Tommy_else. Okay. They can find me on the book at the Johngy or Else podcast Facebook page. They can find me on the tube, also Johngy or Else. Of course, we are on Spotify as well as other podcast or streaming platforms. But on Spotify, we now have video for these episodes enabled as well, so you can watch it on Spotify or you can watch it on YouTube. And yes, of course, we'll have we've got our t-shirts and our hoodies at prowrestlingtees.com in the Johngy's Beat store. Just scroll past the Johngy Beat t-shirts and look for the cool red and black Johngy or Else merchandise.
Or black and white.
Or in black and white. I still have to get a black and white one.
As do I. The next sale. We'll tell everybody when the next sale is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we care.
We do. All right, John. That's it.
Well, Tommy, thank you for being a friend.
Well, you're a pal and a confidant.